Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is able to hear me. All right. Let me just check my settings. How about now? Am I audible? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everybody joining in from all over the world. Hey, Damien, welcome. Thanks for the first comment. Hey, Hey, Michael. Hey, Kenneth. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Hopefully, you are able to hear me. Okay. And my voice is a little bit not that good because I have a cold. Hey, Eric. Nice to see you here. Hey, Cameron. Hey, Tony. Hey, Tony. What does that mean? 5 by 5. Okay. So that means like, okay, all good. Thank you, Kenneth. Good morning, Tom. We have a lot of people joining in. Hey, Jeremy from Hilton Head. Is that a place? I'm not aware. It's amazing what technology can do, right? Means I'm online from India. It's 9 p.m. for me, and people from all over the world can join in and hear and share their experiences. What an amazing time. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, Daniel. So we'll get started in one more minute. I'm just waiting for more people to join. Just one more minute. Hey, Jeremy. Okay, so it's in South Carolina. Thanks for clearing that up. Appreciate it. All right. Trying to see if I can boost my voice level. Should be good. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the clarity. All right, so let's get started. Today, we have a very different kind of presentation, different than what we have been doing so far. And just to give you a brief background, I have an engineering means degree per se, but I have a passion towards tech, and I have been mingling or tinkering with tech for a very long time. And before Insta WP, obviously, I have a plugin and theme company. But before that, also, I was a security consultant and an architect for a large organization. And I have been tinkering with servers, programming, and a lot of other things. So this is kind of my passion of what we are trying to cover today. Obviously, it is not going to be the entire thing. I'll try to cover as much as possible. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. Hey, German. Right. So let's share the screen. And I do not have a typical presentation for today. I have a Google Doc. So the Google Doc will help us navigate through a bunch of things which we are planning to cover for today. All right. So let me zoom in a bit so that it makes it even more clearer. Becomes like a presentation of some kind. All right. So I think, yeah, yep, that's it. All right. So the topic of this presentation is mastering the art of troubleshooting WordPress. Obviously, that is kind of a clickbaity. We are not going to cover the entire troubleshooting steps, but I am going to give you some steps which are helpful. Some of these you might already know, and some of these may be new to you. All right. So before starting something, some kind of troubleshooting on WordPress, right? I'm going deep into the document right away without wasting further time. And I hope a lot of people have already joined. And I can see more than 40 of you are concurrently online right now. And again, thanks everybody for joining in. So first, let's get the basics right. So enabling WP debug and WP debug log, and we will see how to do that. Making sure that you can access error logs, access log, and debug logs. So we will also see that. And most importantly, creating a staging copy of your, or if you're doing it for a client's live environment, that is very important when you are doing a troubleshooting. You can use your own hosting company's staging method to do that, right? Means you can use any kind of, most of the hosting companies will give you a way to create a staging site, which is basically a clone of your live site. But if you don't have that handy or the client does not give you the control panel access, what you can do is you can use your InstaWP account. So let me open up InstaWP real quickly. There we go. This might be familiar with a lot of you already who have been working with InstaWP for some time. So what I've done with the interest of time is I've created a website on SiteGround. However, the plugin works with any hosting control panel, or it works with any WordPress installation. Assuming that this particular environment is the live environment you are debugging. So that's the assumption. And you have installed our plugin. The plugin is called InstaWP Connect. You can find that on the repo. And then once you have installed it, you will see that familiar W icon on the top. Just click on it, and you will be taken to the welcome screen. If you are on this screen for the first time, it will ask you to connect your account, and you just click a button and it will be connected. I have done that already. Next step to create a staging site is obviously click on create staging site, and you can do that in multiple ways. So you can do a quick staging or a full staging. However, you can also do a custom staging. So let's do that. Let me just make sure. Okay, my face is visible. Sorry about toggling the tabs. Now, the custom options will allow you to choose different parameters. So I think checking if you are creating a site for just for troubleshooting, you can feel free to check all these boxes. So it will just copy the active plugins, active themes. But you know what? Sometimes you don't want to do that. You want maybe there are some plugins which are deactivated and are causing issues, right? So let's uncheck these. We don't want media unless you really want it, and we are going to skip large files, any backup files, more than 100 MB, right? And you can set that in the settings tab. We auto skip some log tables which we identify, and then to make it quicker. For this meeting or for this webinar, I'm going to skip on the sync options. I have covered that in the two-way sync meeting. And the next, you have final control to skip more files and tables if you want to. Let's go to the next step. And the last step is just to create staging. If you don't enter a site name, it will create a auto-generated name for your site. So let's do that. Click on create staging, and it will show you the progress of the staging functionality. What we are trying to do is create a copy of the entire live site on InstaWP by copying the files and the database, and everything is automated using our plugin. And as I said, even if you don't have access to the control panel of your client's webs, let's say C panel or SiteGround panel or H panel, whatever panel that may be, this works with almost 40 plus hosting providers we have tested this with. You can also see detailed logs by clicking on this, and you can expand this to see more. All right, so let's close it out. And the idea is for you to give you an idea, so to give you an idea of how this process works. But what I have done is since this is a plain website, I have created another staging site for you. So let's click on the staging tab, and you will see that now I have two staging sites. One, the economical camel, is the something I have created right now, and there is another one, skillful hoopoi, is something I have pre-created for this webinar. So now that we have a staging site, we can safely close our production site and move to the staging site. And for the purpose of this webinar, I'm going to use the skillful hook site. All right. Now let's enable WP debug and WP debug logs because those are very important when you are doing a debug session. So just hover on the site name, or you can click on more actions, or there is a third option. When you click on the site itself, there is code editor, DB editor, and logs. So these three are your friends. So click on the code editor. You can either use the VS Code extension to remotely edit your files or use a web-based editor. So let's do that quickly. Let's close this off. Close off everything right now. And to enable the debug logs, we can click on the WP config file, and it should show you various details about the website. One of those settings is WP debug. By default, it will show you as false. You can convert, you need to edit it and change it to true. You need to do that same for the debug log parameter. Once you have made these two available in your config file, and then just go to the file and save it. On Mac, you have to press Control S, not Command S. So just be aware of that. Once you have done that, in your WP content folder, there will be a file called debug.log. So let's open that up. I think it's all right. All right. So the debug.log is opened um, in a new tab, and you can simply have a look at it. Now that we have our WP debug and WP debug log sorted out, we also make sure that we can access the error logs and access logs. How do I do that? Again, go to the view logs thing. There is error logs, right? There is access log, and there is debug log. So all of that is available to you within the Insta WP panel. However, this is not HWP tutorial. You can do all of these in most hosting control panels. We make it a little bit easier, is all. All right. Now let's look at one of the issue. You might have been seeing a critical error on the website. So let's try to simulate that, and let's see if we can try to debug that. All right. I found a plugin called TI WooCommerce Wishlist. This is like one random plugin I was just trying to download. And when I activated it, it will immediately is causing this error. Now, remember, if we did not have the WP debug true, right, let's make it false and save this file. What it will do is it will not show you anything by default. It will show something like this. I think I have to disable this as well. By default, since it is trying not to do, or maybe if I open in incognito, then it will show like that. Yeah. So there has been a critical error on the website, blah, blah, blah. You have received an email. Now, when you see this, you can immediately panic or your client can immediately panic. So as I said, the best way for you to debug is to just follow these steps, right? First of all, go ahead and enable the debug logs. So let's undo this and save it again. And when I refresh this, I should have a new debug log in my debug.log file. Let's refresh this and go down. So the new logs will be will be appended to the bottom of the file. And as you can see, we have a new error. Every error is prepended by a timestamp. And you can see PHP fatal error. Whenever there is a fatal error, that means the site has stopped working. And even if you are technical or a non-technical person, that doesn't really matter. You can try to make something out of this line. If that is becoming like a little bit tough or challenging for you, just copy the entire thing and throw it at ChatGPT, our friend. Right. So that is, I shouldn't be showing you this, but just for the interest of non-technical people, this may be useful. So you can just write what error is this? Can you write me steps on fixing it? Maybe by maybe by, sorry, disabling plugins, or something like that. So you can write your own prompt over a period of time. And we are working on an AI feature where you can actually ask all of this within the Insta WP interface. So that's coming in Q3. And it is telling you all the steps which I have been telling you so far. Now, the thing is, we want to disable the problematic plugin we just enabled, right? So how do we do that? The problem which we are facing right now is that we do not have a way to access our control panel anymore, right? So even if I remove this part of the URL and go straight to WP admin, I am still getting that error. So how do I disable that? One way is to go through the editor, open the plugins folder, and rename it from here. So that's first way. Second way is to go to the SSH and SFTP tab, enable SFTP, which I've already enabled. So just need to toggle it on and copy these details into your FTP client. So let's do that. So let's open FileZilla, close this off, copy the host name into host, copy the username into user, and so on and so forth. Make sure to use port number 22 if you are using a secure SFTP, which is very common these days. So now we are logging into the FTP. We are using FTP to access the website. So which is, I am assuming that everybody joining this call, almost all of you know that. You just need to find that root folder in your hosting control panel. In InstaWP, it is under web, domain name, public HTML. Now this is familiar to you. Go to the WP content folder, plugins, and you will find the slug for the plugin you have been using. So you can just click on this, rename this, and add anything to it, new, old, or backup, and it will automatically get disabled. This was the second way. Now let me show you the third way of doing it. So go to the install WP control panel, go to command section, and you will see that I have added something called a deactivate single plugin. Okay, where do I find this and what is this? This is an advanced command which can be used via WP CLI. It is deactivating a single plugin, and the skip plugin and skip themes are important because WP CLI by default loads your entire plugin and theme inventory. But since you have an error with the plugin, you won't be able to load the WordPress, the entire WordPress. So we are instructing WP CLI not to load plugins and not to load themes, which makes it easier for us. Now, you may be a non-technical person, so I'm covering both, right? Non-technical and technical people. For technical people, this is very easy. We supply something called as command library, so you can browse over it, and we have a bunch of commands like this. So go all the way down. We added this recently. So deactivating single plugin. All right, I have already imported it, so it says imported. Now let's go back to our staging side. This is the staging side, skillful. Click on run commands. Now click on deactivate single plugin. This is our command, and click on run command. This will ask you, remember we have a curly braces, right? So whenever you put two curly braces around like a string, it will ask you automatically. You don't need to configure this. We have put in some kind of intelligence into it. So we know our plugin slug. The plugin slug is this. You can actually find that out from the WordPress repository as well. So this is the plugin slug. Let's click on continue. All right, so our plugin is deactivated. This is the third method of how you can do it. So let's go back to our WordPress admin panel, hit refresh, and we are done. If you go to the plugin section, you will see that this plugin has been deactivated. All right, so now moving on to the next part, we have a lot to cover. I'm going a little bit fast. This will be available as a YouTube recording. You can always go back and refer it. So let's say in an event of when you have a white screen of death, there is nothing to be seen, or there is a 500 error page. So let's try to simulate that. Whenever you are adding a WP debug true or any other code changes, there are possibilities, even for technical people, to miss maybe a semicolon or some kind of typo, right? So let's try to save this. Now let's go back to our website. Now this page doesn't work anymore, and we are panicking once more. Now, obviously, we know what we did. In case where we don't know what we did, is your friend will be your logs. In this case, however, let me just go back to the debug log and refresh and go back all the way down. We are still getting this kind of error, which is the same error which you got earlier for the plugin. So this is not the right error for this. And why did we not get a new error which is regarding to our problem? Because we never was our request actually never hit WordPress core or WordPress any part of WordPress because it was a PHP error. So remember, you first hit the web server and then the PHP processor, and then your WordPress code, and then your plugin code. So this is the chain of command. Now, you never hit the WordPress core, so there is no error in the debug log. However, if you see the PHP log, which is called as error log or PHP log, you will see this. So let's wrap it, and you will see that we are getting a parse error for an unexpected token on line number so and so for the WP config file. So never be afraid of such errors. If you are not sure what it is, again, copy paste it into ChatGPT and learn about it. All right, now let's go back. So let me see what I've taken. All right, so you can use, again, you can use SFTP since you can't access WP admin anymore, or the Insta WP code editor to fix it. So let's add our semicolon back, save it, and we should be golden. All right, now this is the next topic which I'm trying to cover is debugging slow websites. This is kind of a huge topic because, as you can imagine, slow websites are not just like one because of one reason. It may be because of multiple reasons. Before I start this topic, let me go back to the stream and see that everything is okay. All right, we have 56 people watching the stream simultaneously, which is really good. Thanks everybody again for tuning in. So we are going to use a bunch of tools, bunch of plugins to debug slow websites. First is a very popular plugin called Query Monitor. I have pre-installed it into our website. It's called Query Monitor. Whenever you add Query Monitor, you will see that there is a tab on top which tells you how much second did it take to load this page and what was the size of this page and how many queries did we execute. All right, 51 queries. Now let's try to open our main page, which is the home page. And as we can see, it did not take a lot of seconds, right? So let's see what are the queries did we execute. So database queries, and these are all the queries executed to load this page. This will give you a fair bit of idea of which plugin or which feature or what is causing the delay if you have a delay. So you are getting a lot of different kind of SQL queries. If you are unfamiliar with SQL queries, you can skip this step, but it will be uh, it will be very beneficial for you if you learn SQL basics of SQL. Which is basically SQL is a language which is used to interact with a database. And let's say show option value. We are loading an option name called asset cleanup settings. And this is done by the caller get option, and this is how much time it took. Right? It also tells you from which plugin it is loading this up. So it becomes very, very helpful in a lot of cases. Now you can see duplicate queries. You can also see unnecessary queries because you are, let's say, you are loading a home page and you are not even loading, let's say, all in one calendar, right? So, all in one calendar, we are not loading anything on the home page. Why is it getting included in the home page? So, we can ask the developer if you are doing a custom plugin development, this is your friend. All right. Another thing which becomes really useful in the query monitor, I will show you. Sometimes our dashboard becomes slow, right? And one of the primary reason for that is external HTTP API calls. So let's open that up. As you can see, the timely app dot whatever time dot lee is getting called on hitting the dashboard. Let's hit the post section again. So it is hitting the. So this is, I think this is a little bit of problematic, right? So all in one calendar. Let's try to disable that plugin, and this should be fixed. So if I go to the post, as you can see, it loads really fast, right? There is a drastic speed change. So we have all been kind of victims of slow admin screens, and this can be one of the way to solve that. So Query Monitor is a huge plugin. Please learn it deeply. Go to the documentation and learn more about it. Another one which is a favorite of mine is Code Profiler. You can download it from the WordPress repository again. And if you go to the Code Profiler section, and it has a bunch of really cool options. So what it does is you can profile. So profile is like auditing a page. So you can profile a page. Let's say you want to profile a website front end and the home page, and you want to do it for an unauthenticated user, like you're simulating an unauthenticated user, and then and another other settings like user agent. You want to use Chrome, blah blah blah, and then start profiling. It gives you really nice report of which plugin is the slowest, right? In this case, the AAA option optimizer is taking a lot of time, right? I mean, in grand scheme of things, right? So 0.077 seconds. And then you can, so let's say buddy press is taking 0.07 seconds. This also gives you an opportunity to disable or deactivate plugins and try to find an alternative of those plugins which are taking huge amount of time. All right. And this is a pretty kind of default website. I've just installed a bunch of plugins. If you have like a proper client website, you will see a massive amount of information. And you have other statistics here, and the pro version is also really cool. And one more thing, we are going to integrate this into Insta WP interface itself, so you won't have to actually install this plugin. Now, going back to the third thing, which is kind of a new plugin created by Yoast from the Yoast plugin. And if you go to the settings, I believe, or tools, where is it? Option optimizer. Yeah. So I don't know if you know about auto loading options. So lot of plugin vendors automatically load a bunch of options from the database. This slows down your admin screen and also your front end. So you can go through the unused but auto-loaded uh, page and find out those which are being auto-loaded but they are not required. For example, let's do a basic example. Let's say this is BuddyPress, I believe. Right. So BuddyPress blocks first install. This is not required as I can tell, and you can also see the value. So you can remove the auto load, and it will not be auto loaded for you, right? I think this requires a little bit of more technical know-how on what options to disable, but you can figure out. For example, the poll plugin is loading everything, right? I don't think, and also if you remove auto load, that doesn't mean that the plugin will stop working. It only means that this value will not be auto loaded. If the value is required, it will be loaded on demand. So essentially, you can actually remove auto loading for a lot of these options. So it's a great plugin to fix those. Um, I don't know if you know about cron. So WordPress supports cron, and I've installed a plugin called cron control. And I think, yeah. So if you go to the tools cron events, it will tell you in the background how many functions and methods are being called. These are again a little bit more on the technical side, but it will tell you what is the frequency. For example, if you sort with recurrence, and you will see that every hour we are doing these things. So WP privacy, delete old export files. I think this is added by the core. Let's see if something is added by a plugin. So this is a plugin, and it is adding refresh MailChimp list every single day. So I don't think it will add a lot of load on your site. But if you do this on your current client's website, I'm sure you will find a lot of cron events which are firing every minute, every 15 minute, every hour. And then you should check it and you can actually remove it or pause that. So that's a control you have, right? So that it doesn't affect you that much. All right. Now, logging HTTP requests, we already have seen that during the query monitor tool review. However, there is a dedicated plugin for that. It's called log HTTP request. And if you go to the log HTTP request, you will see that it has logged all the past requests before. And you can see the code profiler has tried to do the profiling for the home page, and you can see WordPress is trying to fetch the update check and lot of other checks. So this also gives you like kind of an x-ray into which plugin is trying to access what URL. So let's try to fill that in. Let's try to go through maybe some of these options. I don't know if this will actually add something to it. Yeah. So right now there is no new event, but you can also see this important metrics, which is runtime. So how much time is it taking by querying these URLs, right? So this gives you a fair bit of idea of which plugin is doing what. All right. So now on to the next topic. This is something I kind of discovered recently. All right. So this is very, very cool. So let's go to the home page and let's switch it off. And let's look at the page source of it. Page source is the HTML source of your web page, which will tell you how many CSS, how many JS files are being loaded. And I will also talk about Chrome developer tools, which will show you the exact thing in a different kind of settings. So if you scroll down a bit, you will see that these CSS files are being loaded. And you will also see that BuddyPress is loaded by default. But in reality, I have not used a single functionality of BuddyPress on my homepage. So this is adding an extra bit of CSS, which is slowing down your homepage, which is the most important page of your website. So what to do in this case? So we have the asset cleanup plugin. Click on it and go to the CSS and JS manager. And on the home page, it will automatically tell you how many plugins are being added. Sorry, how many CSS and JS files are being added. So CSS files, those who are unaware, are the style sheet, which adds the color and look and feel to the buttons and other layouts. And JS is actual code which runs on the browser, which adds dynamic functionality. It's JavaScript, right? So sometimes you are not sure which plugin is adding or how to actually exclude some of these CSS and JS files from homepage or any other pages. So, for example, so let's collapse this. So from plugins, we are adding three files. First is the contact form. We have not used contact form on the homepage, so we can actually unload on this page. Go to the next. So next is contact form 7 is adding this index.js. Unload. First was the style.css. And then again, one more JS. I think you can do, okay, you can't do a complete unload for the entire plugin. So this was being added from contact form 7. And I'm curious to know whether it is detecting BuddyPress on the homepage, which I find little bit hard to believe. Maybe I have to do a rescan. So let's update it. All right. Now let's go back to our home page. And this time I'm going to use um, developer tools. So go to the more tools, developer tool section, and go to the network tab under the all section, or go to the CSS tab and refresh. So you will see how many CSS files are being loaded by, is it not loading anything? Excuse me for a second. Let's try all. Okay, it is loading everything, but I think there is a cache. So you can just disable cache here. And yeah, so now it should be good. So we are loading these many CSS files. Let's say we want to not load dash icons. So go here, go to the file, search for dash icons. Okay, I think we need to find that somehow. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but you get the idea on how to load or not load files from different plugins and code if you want to. All right, so that's it about the asset cleanup. This is a really cool, a little bit advanced tool for people looking to speed up their pages, specifically like homepage or pricing page or services page or things like that. So I I hope after this you will be able to use these tools to debug slow websites. Now, let's look at some of the common PHP and WordPress settings for debugging. So we have already seen WP debug, and I just wanted to cover this. Maybe some of you don't know there is a PHP setting called maximum execution timeout and memory limit, and there is a way to set that in Insta WP. Go to the site's detail page, click on PHP config, and here you will be able to set that in seconds. So let's say the execution time is, instead of 30 seconds, you want to keep it for 60 seconds and save it. This is specifically useful when you are debugging a timeout issue or you are debugging a memory issue. So you can actually increase the limit of memory up to, I think, 1000 or 1 GB, right? And that will give you an opportunity to discover memory limit issues. So you can bring it down or take it up and see what is causing that issue. So makes it really easy. You can also set defaults for all the new sites you are creating. So go to the configuration tab. Under the default section, you will see PHP tab and you can set all these values. This will be used whenever you create a new site with InstaWP. All right. So now this is a cool one when you are trying to troubleshoot plugin and theme conflict. So this allows you to like use WordPress as if you are using a new WordPress session. So let's try to use this. Um, this plugin was created by WordPress.org. It's called Health Check and Troubleshooting. So let's say you want to troubleshoot contact form 7. So just click on troubleshoot. This option only comes when this plugin is activated. The health and check and troubleshooting plugin is activated. Only then you will be able to see the troubleshoot option. So let's click on that. What it will do is it will disable all the other plugins and only enable contact form 7 while remembering what were the plugins which were enabled before the troubleshooting button was clicked. So now you can only see contact form 7 and you can enable, let's say, buddy press while you're troubleshooting. So this gives you an amazing opportunity to debug. So let's say, let's disable this and we can enable the code profiler. And now we can actually run our code profiler to see if we have any improvement while we have disabled a plugin, right? For some reason it is okay. So yeah, why code profile is loading all the plugins is because it is acting as a third party visitor, but you can use other things. So code profiler doesn't work in that case. Maybe so that I was wrong in that, but yeah, but you can use other features. And then once you are done, just go on top and disable the troubleshooting mode, and everything will be as before. Amazing, right? Now, one more thing which it adds is under the tools site health section, it adds two more tabs. So it adds the troubleshooting tab and it adds the tools tab. Otherwise, by default, you will only see the status and info tabs. Let's click on the troubleshooting tab, and you can, so this is the same shortcut which I just showed you. And the other cool thing is the tools tab. And you can check for file integrity if something was modified by a hacker. You can send a mail as if you are sending an email from the WordPress. This gives you an opportunity to troubleshoot mailing issues. And then you can see debug logs. You can check for plugin compatibility. Let's say you want to upgrade your PHP version to, um, let's say, 8.0. But in this case, as you can see, the minimum supported version required is 7.4. It doesn't work with 8.0, right? And then PHP info and a bunch of other features. So I have to run a little bit faster so that I can cover more ground. Now we are going into the hack site repair thing, and we are going into the realm of WordPress CLI commands. And WP CLI commands can be run on Insta WP platform using SSH or using the command execution feature which I showed you earlier, right? So let's try to in this for this let's use the SSH terminal. So going to back to the website, clicking on SSH. So you just need to enable SSH, and if you have a public SSH key, you can enable this. So it will not ask you for password, and all you need to do is copy the SSH command. So now I'm going to open terminal, open a new tab, close all the other tabs. All right, you're set. So just paste the SSH command, and you should be inside the SSH terminal. So let's clear it and go to the folder which I showed you earlier as well. When you are inside the public HTML folder, you will be able to run the WP CLI command. If you just type WP, you will see a bunch of commands which are available by default. So let's quit it and go back to WP, go back to our sheet. And if so, let me just summarize of what we are trying to solve. So let's say your client side was hacked, and the attacker has modified a lot of core files, and a lot of plugin was modified, and which is very common when a site is hacked. Excuse me. Now let's run this command wp core verify checksum. What it will do is it will verify that if your core files are modified or tampered with or not. So as you can see, the WP activate file is not verifying, and there is an error. So let's try to open this using more command. Paste this. Let's go from the top. As you can see, this line was added by me, and hence it is not being validated. And if I remove this line, if I use the inbuilt editor, or I can use the web editor. So in this case, let's go back and use the web editor and remove the line which I was added by me, and remove the new line and save it. Let's rerun the check. Excuse me. All right. So WordPress installation verifies again checksum, and you are golden. So let's clear it. Similarly, you can also see if a plugin was tampered with. There is a little bit of caveat there, um, that if a plugin is a third-party pro plugin, then it won't be able to verify the checksum for that. You can also find vulnerable plugin themes and core, or core version which is vulnerable by going into the install.wp scanner section, and we have a vulnerability scanner. Just click to scan, and you will see the report of, and the site is healthy. No vulnerabilities found. I have added a cheat sheet into GitHub in our GitHub cheat sheet section, and how to clean up hacked core files. So the process which I showed you so far was just to find out if it was hacked. Then how to actually fix it is a list of commands which I have added, and you are free to check that out. And don't worry, we will be sending an email with a copy of this document. So no need to like copy paste anything right now. And it's already 45 minutes into the webinar. I will do a basic health check from everybody. If we are going good, do you want me to continue, or this is a thumbs down video? Hopefully it is not. Um, and shall I just continue and finish this off, or you guys are done with me? Good. All right, I'm assuming good. Silence is golden. Now, all right, so the WP CLI, right? It becomes a little bit technical for people who don't understand a WP CLI. So there are obviously ChatGPT for you. You can just go and type in ChatGPT that give me the WP CLI command for this. Another thing which you can do is go back to the command section and browse the command library and find out a bunch of very nice, very useful commands. So let me just cover some of them one by one. Let's say you want to delete all the spam comments. Okay, so you can import that. So I think there has to be somewhere. Okay, delete spam comments. So import that. Search and replace a string. So let's say you did a migration and you want to search and replace the domain name or something else. So you can do that with search and replace. You can activate the maintenance mode. So let's import that too. Where is the maintenance mode? There it is. And there is search and replace. So let's import that too. Delete inactive plugins, delete revisions, updating core plugins. So let's say you want to update the entire inventory. And I think this is that. And you want to deactivate all. This is very handy, right? If you want to deactivate without using the troubleshooting plugin. So let's say you want to deactivate all plugins. And we have a bunch of other things, right? You want to change a user role, admin, email, whatever. So, so these are some of the WP CLI commands. Now, in order to run it, I will also show you one more cool thing. You can actually select multiple staging sites, click on run command, and you can run, let's, for example, update core files and themes and plugins, and it will run on each individual site, give an output, go to the next site, give an output, and so on and so forth. And the next site is obviously a little bit of larger site. It takes more time. And let's say we want to delete spam comments. Let's go to the comment section. Spam. Right. Spam comments. No. This is especially useful when your customers have yeah. So the first website did not have any spam comments, so that's why we got an error. But in the second, which is the site I just added a spam, it trashed the comment. So let's go to the comment section, click on spam. There has to be 0. And if you go to trash, I think it is force removal. So the spam comments are gone. And I don't need to like show you everything. Just last bit of thing, which is search and replace. If you click on run command, it will ask you what search string you want to replace with. So, and it will do dry run by default. So it will not actually do the search and replace. It will tell you what it would have done. And if you actually want to do it, just go to the command library and remove this dry run bit, and it will run it for you. There are some useful WP CLI packages. For example, the WP doctor check. It diagnoses problems within WordPress by running a series of checks for symptoms. This is really cool, actually. So if you do a Google search of WP CLI doctor, this package is not installed by us or by WP CLI by default. All you need to do is go to the GitHub section for this, click on installing, and you will find the stable version installer. Copy this, go to the SSH terminal, paste it, and it will tell you that it is already installed because I tried it already. And once it is installed, now you have this additional command, which is WP doctor check all. So let's try to run that. And it will give you like a very nice list of checks which you should have done before publishing a website or while publishing. So and you can see the status as well. So a lot of these checks and this all of these will be integrated into Insta WP UI. So you don't need to like do this manually. So all of these are good. There is an error. It says that WP debug is defined as true but should be false. uh, Blog site is private but expected to be public. I think you need to click on some option in the blog section. So this gives you a very nice list of checks. Same thing for profiler. So it is similar to the code profiler which we tried to before, and it will give you different stages of profile, like when all the plugin were loaded, before the admin was loaded, right? All those different hooks. How much time did every hook took? If you are a developer, this is a godsend, and I recommend you to go and try both doctor and profile and also the code profile. When you install the code profile plugin, it will give you this additional command. If you don't install the plugin, this is not a WP CLI package. This is enabled by the code profiler free plugin. So if you run it, it will run the same thing which we ran on the UI, and it will show you in a different fashion, but the same output. Hopefully, this is easier for you guys to see. All right. Now, we are at the end of this presentation. What are the different useful InstaWP features which can assist you in troubleshooting in future? So we have already seen how to create a staging site from a live environment when you are troubleshooting. So just install the InstaWP Connect plugin and copy the entire thing into your InstaWP account. And we have seen the command library where you can add your own commands, you can import commands from our library, and then there is configuration, which I showed you briefly. Let's have a look at it again. So go to the section of configurations. You can create multiple configurations if you like. So I will show you how to do that. If you go to the PHP section, we have seen these options. If you go to the WordPress section, actually you can enable the WP debug mode by default. So this becomes very, very useful. Let's say you want to pre-install Query Monitor on all new sites. So you can add the slug for it. Where do you find the slug? Just search for WordPress Query Monitor, go to the wordpress.org section, and on the URL, this portion is called the WordPress plugin slug. So copy it and paste it into the section and save this. If you want to create multiple such profiles, you can duplicate this and you can rename it to config2 or whatever you want, save it. And how to use this non-default config, I'll just tell you. Click on add new site, and here you can choose the config2 configuration which you just created. All good. um, Versions, this becomes very, very useful when you are, let's say you want to make drastic change, you want to deactivate all plugins and you made some kind of mess. All you need to do is click on the version section and save a snapshot. As simple as that. So it will take a file and database backup and create a version out of it, and you can roll back to it at any point. And you can tag it. You can download a snapshot from that point, and you can say that V1 or plugin test, something like that, whatever you want, right? This becomes really useful for you. We have seen PHP settings, we have seen code editor, we have not seen VS Code integration, which I can actually show you real quickly if you are interested. Go to the V code editor section and you will see the code editor open in VS Code. Let's click on it. It will open the VS Code if you have it already, and it will auto install the extension for the first time. All you need to do is open the Explorer and you will see the Insta WP Explorer. Open it up and it will automatically connect to the site without any configuration required. And since I'm using the US server, it will be a little bit slower for me. but you should use the server which is closer to you. If you are in Europe, use the Europe server. And now you can actually edit your website as if it is on your local machine. We are modifying this extension a lot. Soon you are going to see the logs within the VS Code. Soon you will be able to run terminal commands within the VS Code. So all your development environment can go online, and you can do the entire thing using your iPad or any other laptop, or you are on the go, right? You don't need to spin up your local environment. And you can use the AI features as well if you have something like a GitHub Copilot. We have seen logs viewer. We have seen DB. I don't think we have seen DB editor. Let's just quickly have a look at it. It's one click open in Adminer, and you can do all sort of things. We have seen SFTP and SSH access. So this completes the art of troubleshooting WordPress. Hopefully, this was somewhat useful to you, and I will be happy to take questions if you have any. Yeah, so I am going to share the doc very soon, and the video will be uploaded to YouTube. It is already being uploaded, and we will send you an email as well. Hey, Prem, nice to see you here. Thanks everybody for the appreciation and then telling me to continue. So we have, I don't think this is relevant for us. Hey, Damien, thank you. Michael, Maria, thank you, everybody. We will be publishing this as a blog post, as a video, and we will be emailing all the people who have attended the webinar so that you can have a look at it. If you want even more advanced section on WP CLI, I'm going to go on a podcast with Remkus, and if I can do another webinar, a solo webinar as well on our channel with even more deeper uh, troubleshooting, or maybe a hack site repair. So we can take a site which is hacked, real site, and try to repair it. And if you have such site which is slow or hacked, maybe we can take that in a live session. So that can be a cool webinar. So hack site repair and finding out slow reason for the slowness of a website. So thank you everybody for attending this webinar and making it lovely as you always do. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Bhavesh. And appreciate your time today. Have a good day and have a great night, everybody. Thank you. Before we go, we have a question. Since we can create snapshot for stage side, is there a backup feature on the roadmap by any chance? Preferable automatic snapshot? Yes. So we are working on the automatic snapshot, which is called as automatic versioning of the sites. So you can set an interval of, let's say, 4 hours, 12 hours, and it will automatically take a snapshot for you. Kind of a backup. So yeah, Damien, that's coming. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Right. So if you can keep posting your questions, I will try to answer that via the chat system. All right. Thank you, everybody. Again, have a great day, great night.